Hello guys, in today's video we are going to be talking about what to do when your budget fails. You might have crafted a really good budget, but it ends up failing. Why does that happen? And when that happens, what do you do about it? So I'm going to be sharing with you guys simple and relatable tips that I usually do when my budget hits the ground. So the first thing that I do when my budget fails is I usually pause and reassess. I sit down and ask myself, why did this budget fail? Was it because of overspending? Was it because of underestimating cost? Was it because of the method that I used? Was it because I crafted it? Maybe adding too many ones. So when I sit down and ask yourself such questions, why your budget failed, it's going to give you a clear cut on what you should fix on your budget. Sometimes it can be that your budget failed simply because of an emergency, a financial emergency that hit you so bad and you lost track of how much money you spend, of how much money you should put in your budget, and this affected everything when it comes to how you're handling your money. So that can be the cause. Simply because you didn't plan for something and it just ended up happening and it destroyed your entire budget. This is something that usually happens. So you have to sit down and ask yourself all these questions, go around your budget, take a deep look at your budget, analyze it. After that, then come back to your habits. Ask yourself, what did you do wrong this time to make your budget fail? So the moment you sit down and analyze everything, it's going to make it easier for you to know where you went wrong, and you can sit down and start working on the issues so that next time it doesn't fail. After you have sat down and reviewed everything and asked yourself why your budget failed, the next thing you should do is review your transactions. There might be one or two reasons why your budget failed, but all this comes back to your spending habits. You need to ask yourself, how much money did you spend on your needs, on your wants, on saving, or maybe on debt repayments, or on starting an emergency fund, or on investing? You need to review these transactions because they are going to give you a clear view on where your budget went wrong. So your spending habit plays a big role when it comes to either budget working the right way or failing. So I always say that you should keep on tracking every single dollar, and this is whereby tracking comes in. So if you used to track every single dollar you spend, it's going to be easier for you to know where you went wrong. It's going to give you an idea where you should at least adjust some categories when it comes to your needs, your wants, and maybe your plan, your investment things, here and there. So, but if you didn't track, if you don't have any written transaction somewhere, if you don't use budgeting apps to show you how much money you've been spending on the things that you do need, this is going to be tough for you. But if you have somewhere that you wrote down every expense, you wrote down every transaction, this is going to give you an idea where your money went, and you can fix this. So it's really, really important because it's going to give you an idea where you spent so much money, where you underestimated the costs, where you overspent. This is a really, really great one. This is something else you can do when your budget failed, because all this is going to give you a clear structure on how you can work on your budget next time so that it doesn't fail you. Something else you should do after your budget have failed is sit down and adjust your categories. That's why I usually say it's really, really important when you create a budget, you have to go back to it and review your budget, because this is going to help you set things clear. Especially after a budget failure, it's crucial for you to go back to your budget. Don't just burn your budget and say, oh man, it didn't work for me, so there's no need for me to check it back because it won't benefit me. Guys, you have to learn from your budget. So this means you have to go back to your budget, look at the needs, look at the wants, look at the saving side, the emergency side, the emergency fund side, the sinking fund side. Check at everything and adjust those categories. If you know that there are some things that are in your needs and they're not supposed to be there, that is when you're supposed to go out and just adjust that, take them out. If you go to your maybe wants, For instance, you have too many ones and some of them are really not necessary. That's where you have to go and adjust those categories. Go back to your saving, check out the amount of money you're saving into your saving accounts, check out the emergency fund, check out the sinking funds, check out your investments plans and how they're going, and also it's really important to review the debt side. How much money are you pushing into your debts, if you have debts, that is. So adjusting every of this category, it's going to actually help you fix the mistakes that you did earlier when you're working on your budget. So it's really important to adjust every category of your budget if you want to fix your budget, because ignoring it and starting a new budget without going back, adjusting the categories, guys, you're going to find that you're making the same mistake that you made previously. So don't start crafting a new budget simply because the other budget failed. You have to go back, adjust every category so that you learn from that. So the next time when you sit down and craft another budget, you know how to go around it and you won't add anything that is going to lead your budget astray. This is what you should do when your budget fails. In most cases, especially in my experience, budget fails are usually brought about the spending nature of someone. So in most cases, I usually find out if my budget fails, it's mostly because I spend so much money on non-essentials. This might be the same case for you. So you have to go back into your budget and cut non-essentials, especially temporarily. Since because your budget is not the way it's supposed to be, things are not going the way you expect, so you have to go there and cut non-essentials. Guys, I know it's really important you have these ones because they give you that flexibility, they give you that freedom to enjoy your money. But if your budget is failing, guys, this means you're going wrong somewhere when it comes to hitting your financial goals. So you have to go back to those non-essential, cut them temporarily. If you have subscriptions, cancel them for a moment. If you're always going out on the weekend at eating out with friends, you have to pause this for a moment. Stop that for a moment. If you have some things that you usually pay and they're not that really important, just cut out that bill, because you need to cut off everything if you need to regain control of everything. To control everything, to take control of your spending, you have to eliminate the things that actually putting much pressure on you and taking out much of your money. This is going to be easier for you to analyze on how the new budget is going to flow. If you have smooth flow of the budget that you're working on, it's going to be easier for you to fix everything. But guys, if you want to eliminate these non-essentials while you see your budget hitting the ground, guys, it's going to be really tough for you to work on another budget that is going to work on your way. So it's really important to cut the non-essentials just for a moment, temporarily, as you work on this budget, because if you lose control of your budget, this is likely going to lead you astray. You're going to find yourself spending more money than you're supposed to, and you're going to find yourself that the small income that you're earning is not even enough to cover every need that you want, simply because you didn't follow your budget. And sometimes this can lead you into debts, and we don't want debts, guys. Debts is always your enemy. So we should always work. I always work to avoid debts. So, but if you're not doing that, guys, you're going to find yourself in a really wrong spot when it comes to your financial progresses. When your budget fails, it doesn't mean you're not supposed to be budgeting anymore. Maybe let's say this month budget really failed and you feel that, there's no need to craft a new one. Guys, if you're going to do that, ignore the aspect of budgeting simply because your last budget failed. You're going to find yourself in the wrong spot because you're going to be spending money on things that you're not supposed to. And this is going to prevent you from saving. This is going to prevent you from pushing money into your saving, into your emergency funds. This is going to push you from making your financial progresses. So the moment your budget failed, don't just stop budgeting anymore. You just have to create a mini budget, a week by week budget that is going to help you go through your days until you get your entire budget back in track. This is what you have to do, because if you say your budget failed and you are not doing anything about it, you're not creating a mini budget, guys, this is going to affect you. It's not going to affect anyone else. It's going to ruin you, and you're going to find yourself at a loss because you're going to be spending money on things that you don't want, and eventually you'll end up finding yourself in debt. And this is something that you're trying to avoid. So if you want to be financially smart, create a mini budget that is going to help you week by week until you get everything in order while you're working on the next budget. This is something you should do. Don't ignore the emphasis. Don't ignore the practice of budgeting, because the moment you do that, that is when you're going to find yourself at a wrong spot and you'll eventually regret it. So don't let everything just go to waste simply because your first budget failed. You need to keep on budgeting. Create a mini budget that is not too overwhelming, that you can just craft in 10 or maybe 5 minutes if you don't have so many things to write down when it comes to your budgeting. This is something else you should do so that you don't overspend, so that you don't push money on the wrong spots. Sometimes when your budget fails, it can hit you so hard, and you might even lose the motivation of working on another budget. Trust me guys, I know it's really tough, especially going back to your budget, looking at your failures, crafting everything back once again. It usually takes lots of energy, lots of time, especially it's going to be draining, especially when you find out you have been losing so much money on things that you're not supposed to. So at this moment, it can be very demotivating, and you might even give up on the aspect of budgeting. So to avoid every of this negative thought, just sit down and focus on your goals. Ask yourself, why were you budgeting in the first place? Why is budgeting really important to you? You know, the moment you sit down and focus on every of this goal that I'm talking about here, guys, you're going to be motivated to go back to your budget and start on working on it again. Because guys, we are human beings, and sometimes we lose focus. You know, we lose focus on things that really matter, especially when we hit rock bottom. So it's really important to just sit down and focus on your goals. Ask yourself where you're budgeting, and this is going to give you energy to work on something new that is going to help you work on your goals. Yeah, guys, to be honest, sometimes it's really sucks. Yeah, but you have to do this because you need to be on track, especially if you're aiming to hit your financial goals early enough. After you have done everything I've just shared with you in this video, you have to learn from your mistakes. Now that with all that knowledge of your previous budget and why it failed, sit down and ask yourself, what am I going to do to prevent the same things from happening when I craft the next budget? Learn from these mistakes because they're going to keep you a step forward. Don't take these mistakes with grain of salt and maybe demotivate yourself and tell yourself that you're not smart enough to craft a really good budget, and you're always going to fail when it comes to your financial plannings, your financial goals. Don't just let it drive you to that path, because the moment you find yourself in that spot, this when you're going to forget and give up the entire aspect of budgeting. And we don't want this. We want you to grow financially. We want you to become someone who is going to be proud of yourself in a few years from now. So learn from those mistakes, and we are human beings who make mistakes here and there, and the best thing we can do is learn from them, not ignore them. Learn from the mistakes you're making, and I'm pretty sure next month you're going to craft a really amazing budget that is going to work in your favor. Anyway guys, this is AJ. Thank you so much for watching. I hope these points hit home, because I usually do the same when my budget fails. I go through everything I've just shared with you in this video. Hopefully these tips are going to be helpful to you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, share the video if you find this content helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and keep on working on your budget.